we ended up in a yard in Shelby Township, Michigan, where we have negative slope to the pool. We have all this slope this way. We know that to code, all this concrete is sloped away, and they did a really nice job. They sloped it really hard. You can see it. Anytime you can see slope with your eye, there's a lot of slope on that concrete right there. So right here is a problem. Everything is just so wet. Look, the guys, they're digging this trench because they're going to build this curtain French drain around this outdoor living space. They're grabbing up one downspout right there. Over here to help get the water out. We're grabbing another downspout. Start real shallow. You want your line to be really shallow so you can put slope on it. You're going to get deeper as you work your way towards the back of the yard. The trench is holding water because the guys dammed it. When you have this happen, you got to create a dam so you're not working in the mud. See how the guys dammed it up? That's working smarter right there, not harder. You don't need to be slopping in all the mud. So the guys are digging their way through this hump right here. We got tree roots that we're going to have to address. Got a sprinkler system. We got sprinkler line. The usual. But as soon as we get through this hump, it breaks really hard that way. We're going to take it right to the back. There's a lot of fall right here. There's crazy fall right to the back. So this is going to be ideal. And then this is just a common area that's swaled. Once the water gets back here, it's doing no harm to any structures. It's out of the outdoor living space. But you can see we have a crazy amount of fall towards the back of this yard. So there was an old system in here. So let's see what they did. Let's try to figure out what went wrong. Well, there's no fabric to speak of. I don't want to pull it out because we just leave them. The homeowners don't want us tearing out the old stuff because it's too invasive. We'll tear up the whole yard. But you can see that pipe. It was put on some pea stone. They dug a trench, they put some pea stone in there, they set the pipe on. You know, now that's not terrible. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm okay with all of it, to be honest with you, but where's the rest of the stone? There ain't no pea stone above the pipe. It's just all dirt, and there's no soil separator. So all the dirt migrates into the pea stone, rendering the system useless. If this French drain system worked, we wouldn't be here. And they thought by putting a sock on the pipe that they didn't have to use the non-woven geotextile filter fabric. Like this was going to do something magical for them. When the dirt plugs the pea stone, there's nothing you can do. The water can't make it to the pipe. That's it. It's a clean out. Now you can just pop the 4-inch solid cover. The grass can't grow over it. You'll always be able to find that clean out. Now, if we ever have to run a camera through this French drain pipe, we can. If you want to run a hose through it, just for good health, just to get rid of any sediment, you could push a hose through it because this is our not quite a 90. So it's super easy to push a hose through the not quite a 90. And you can do copper sulfate treatments. There's a lot of benefits to giving yourself a clean out. All right, to show you guys this before it's all covered up. So we have a downspout on our 3-inch plus. We have our 3-inch connection right there. Here we have 4-inch. We're going to go to 4-inch. Once we catch all the shingle gravel and debris, we're just going to start right with the 4-inch pipe. Why not? Less connections if you do it that way. We have our perforated pipe for French drains. Now you see how there's been saw cuts, there's been material ground out, there's been material removed. This is perforated pipe. So this is not knife cut, and this is not solid pipe. This is saw cut perforated pipe. And that's what you want for a French drain that you're not putting catch basins on. This is going to be a fully contained French drain system. Now we're going to contain all the roof runoff water and all the catch basin water by keeping it on a solid pipe. You can see right here, the guys are taking this 3-inch plus. This is a 2x3 downspout on 3-inch plus. Again, we got 3-inch to 4. So you got the 3 to 4, reducer, increaser. In this case, it's an increaser. It goes from 3-inch to 4-inch. You need a piece of 4-inch pipe to connect those two couplers. We're taking it to our extra heavy duty Y. Run the Y in the direction of the arrow, direction of flow. Make sure you tie that in right. Tie that in to the solid pipe. We don't want shingle gravel in our French drain system. You never tie a roof runoff system into a French drain system. You can't give me an example where that makes good sense. If you run shingle gravel through your saw cut perforated pipe, you're going to plug all the perforations. You're going to get sediment down into your stone. You're going to render the French drain portion of the system useless. If you tie this pipe on the perforated pipe, you just gave your system an expiration date at the time of install. If you fully contain your perforated pipe by wrapping it with a good non-woven geotextile filter fabric that's been punched twice, a vein of stone that's wrapped in fabric lasts forever. This is going to be a drain that's going to work for generations to come. You can see there's another catch basin right here on that same solid pipe that the downspouts are on. So we're utilizing the solid pipe as a yard drain as well as a discharge for roof runoff. While the men are on lunch, let's go through this really quick. Let's cover it. Your catch basin for your inlet basin. Make sure you dig a hole for the sediment traps so that this goes down. You don't want this to be humped up. Then you're going to have a hump in the line right here. That would cause a belly, a dip in the line, and that would catch a bunch of shingle gravel. That wouldn't be good. So this has to be almost levitating, where you're going to put a little bit of stone under the catch basin. We have the one solid line. We have the one perforated line. The perforated line is for our French drain. It's going to take in all the subsurface water. Our solid pipe is for the catch basins and the downspouts. Now let's look at how we merged them. The guys did a great job. This is a beautiful example of a combination system. This is roof runoff, yard drain, French drain, all in one trench, making the most of your sweat equity. So right here, the guys take a Y fitting. They take a 45-degree fitting. They then take a piece of 4-inch pipe. Just cut yourself off a piece of 4-inch pipe to connect those two couplers. That is it. Connect your solid pipe and that 45. You don't have to tape the perforated pipe. It's full of holes. So you're not going to, trap the water inside. It's perforated. All that water is going to run to the discharge. 3 systems into one discharge line right here. We have tons of slope. It drops off like mad. We go to about 5% slope. So we're going to have no issues moving a lot of water. Now, I also wanted to talk about trench size. Anytime you have a wider trench, just like we have here, what that does for you is any sediment that settles in the system, it's going to settle at the bottom of the trench. Even with the non-woven geotextile filter fabric that's been punched twice, fine clay, fine sediment is going to settle to the bottom of the trench. Well, when your trench is small and you only have one pipe in it, that sediment from the walls, the sides of the trench that find their way in through this non-woven geotextile filter fabric, it's going to settle in the bottom. If it's just one pipe wide, that sediment's going to be higher in the bottom of the trench. Basically, you're going to have sediment in the bottom of your pipe. Now, when you have a really wide trench that you dig for 2 pipes, that sediment is going to be the same amount of sediment that comes out of the walls. It's going to settle in the bottom. Now it's settling over a greater area, so it's not built up in the bottom of your pipe. This is extremely important. Everybody's always asking why we have 2 pipes in all our trenches, because if we didn't have a yard drain and a roof runoff system in here, we'd have a second perforated pipe. Well, that's a big reason right there. The other is sometimes you run into a situation where minerals, they will plug your perforations. You also have soil bacteria that can cause that same thing where you have plugging of the inlets. Well, I will tell you this. Our inlets have so much material ground out that it takes, honestly, 4 or 5 times longer to plug our saw cut perforated pipe than any other pipe on the market. But when we're doing a big French drain system and we have our 2 pipes, I'm not worried if there's soil bacteria in the area that I'm working. It doesn't bother me because you can plug half the perforations on a pipe, and if you have 2 of them, you're still flowing as much water if you had a perfectly brand new pipe. So many reasons why we like to run 2 pipes in our trench, many reasons why our trench is always as wide as what you see in our videos. We always can get 2 4-inch pipes in the bottom of our trench. We'll always build them to this spec, no matter if we use 3-inch pipe. It doesn't matter. We're always going to build them to this specification because the sediment that comes through the sidewall is going to spread over a greater area. It's just going to be a thin little layer of sediment. It's not going to impact the system. So Cal grabbed another catch basin because the homeowner is speaking about water that collects right here by the door. You can see we got risers, got 6-inch risers, 4-inch risers. In this case, we're going to use the 6-inch risers because we're going to use our 6-inch grate with our 12x12 turf restrictor plate. No tools, slip fit, no screws, no glue. We wanted to make a yard drain kit that was incredibly easy to use. Any homeowner, DIYer, or contractor with no tools could just hook that up. All right, the guys are working to get that 4-inch through all those sprinkler lines. 4-inch is a challenge to get through sprinkler lines. We know this. That's why we love the 3-inch plus. The 3-inch plus, it goes through the sprinkler lines really easy. But as soon as you bump up to a 4-inch, you made a lot more work for yourself, I can tell you that. Quick, easy, everything connects fast, and it's a really good hold. That's never going to pull apart. Those barbs are ramped. There's 4 of them. They're spring loaded. You can see Valente setting this catch basin to grade. That easy. That easy. You just take the risers and get yourself up to grade. You want that turf restrictor plate to be a little below the turf level because the water finds the low point. So if that's a little low, that's good. The water's just going to fall right in. Just like the drain in a bathtub. It's the lowest point of the entire tub. So we got the yard drain in for all the bulk water. All the bulk water that comes in off of this berm. This is a big berm. It's for privacy because there's a main road right there. High traffic. It's kind of noisy. So they have this bermed up. It creates a negative slope towards the pool yard. When it's raining really, really hard, that green belt's going to absorb a lot of water. But the water that it can't absorb, it's going to find its way down to our inlet basins. Now, French drain will take in that water, but it might take it a little longer. Where the yard drain portion of the system, it's going to grab bulk water up immediately. So I always recommend DIYers to use a hacksaw to cut this pipe. It's too thick to use a box knife unless you work with a box knife every day. You can see how quick that just hooked up. Super easy. A team of contractors sit down and speak to the engineers. We share with them our needs and what the industry has fallen short. So that's why our parts are so user-friendly to use in the field. When the engineers are allowed to work closely with the contractor, you end up with great results. So we have some extra 8-slot just going on top of the system. Patrick just put an end plug in that. This is just going to create more air. The more air you have in your system, the more void, the faster it dries things out. All right, Cal, he has this catch basin installed. He's got that turf restrictor plate a little lower than the grade around it. He's going to grab up all the water that used to be right here by the landing. They come out of the door wall right there. So we don't have the basin right in their egress and egress. We got a little bit over here. We want to grab up that water. All right, so this curtain French drain wraps around the corner of the house. Got the downspout going in it right here. People are always asking, how do you enter the fabric? You cut a tiny hole, a small hole, smaller than a pipe, and then you force it over the pipe and it forms like a gasket. You have no problems keeping the dirt out of your French drain. So we got our clean out right here. Our turf restrictor plate with the solid cover, not quite a 90. Always be able to access the main French drain line. We're not too deep right here. We're very shallow. Start your system out shallow so that you can put slope on the bottom of your trench. Plus, whenever I'm by a house that has a basement, I don't like being deep at all. You know, so we're off the house. I'm comfortable with this. Our curtain French drain is going around all the landscape and the pool yard and the outdoor living space. We got our yard drain, French drain, roof runoff system, all in one. 3 systems in one. You can see every connection. Got another catch basin right here. The guys are filling the trench with 8-slot. They're just filling it up with 8-slot because this moves more air than stone. You have more void this way. And it just dries the yard out so fast. Aggregate can stay damp and moist, especially smaller aggregates. So when you are allowed to create these big air pockets, it makes it a challenge for trees to do anything in your French drain system. It really does. And that's, you know, why we didn't put stone under the French drain pipe, because we don't want to leave water in the voids of the stone that's beneath the pipe for the trees to sniff out. So we just put the pipe right on the fabric. That's why we do our outdoor systems like this, because you got to worry about the tree roots. Now, if you're using copper fabric, then put stone under it. You know, if you got a system that you already protected it from the roots, or maybe there's no trees in your yard, then fine, put stone under it. You know, there's some slight benefits to that. But quite frankly, I don't know if anybody's going to notice the difference in performance if you had the 2 systems side by side. I don't. Will the fabric perform a little bit better? A little bit. Is there a lot less likelihood that you're going to get a little sediment in the bottom of your, you know, French drain pipe if it's got some stone under it? Absolutely. Now that one is 100%. Will it change the performance of the system? I don't think it's something that you could measure, to be honest with you. So let's talk about stone under the pipe versus no stone under the pipe. Now, for an exterior basement wall French drain, I'd always put stone under the pipe. I've done videos on this. You guys know that's what I like. For yard drains, I prefer just to put the pipe right on the fabric. My argument for this is if we go ahead and we put stone down first, and you'd never want anything like as big as that. You'd want pea stone, but this is demonstration purposes only. This is not an actual install. You wouldn't have any big rocks. You'd have just small pea stone for under the pipe. So you want to put some stone under it, because you want a good stone filter zone between your pipe and the bottom of the trench. You'll also allow the sediment that gets in the system to settle in the voids of the stone, opposed to filling the bottom of your pipe. But here's where it gets kind of dark. So this is a yard drain. It's not an exterior basement wall drain. I do exterior basement walls like this. I put stone down first, a couple inches, then the pipe. But in a yard drain, if you put stone down first, then the pipe, what happens is there's always going to be water left in these voids, no matter what. Yeah, your pipe's going to be super clean. Is it going to really change the performance? Maybe a little bit. I doubt anybody could really measure the performance that's going to change. The fact that you're going to leave water in the voids of the stone means every tree in the yard and all the neighbors' shade trees are going to sniff this water out during the drought season. Now, does this help your drain perform better? Maybe in the early stages of that system. But as soon as the roots find the water that's left in these stones, because I'm telling you guys, water's not going to magically levitate and find its way into this pipe. Water's going to rise in the trench, find its way into this pipe. It's going to leave the water that's in the voids of the stone. The trees are going to love that during the drought season. They're going to come into your system, and they're going to fill your system full of roots. So, you have to ask yourself, which side of the sword, which blade do you want? Do you want, just put it on the fabric, and you'll get a little bit of sediment that'll fill the bottom of your pipe? And I mean a little. Like, I'm talking like that much of the pipe is going to have sediment in it. And that's just a fact. There's nothing you can do about that. And that's if you do 2 pipes wide, a nice wide trench. If you do 1 pipe wide and it's a narrow trench, well, you're probably going to get sediment like this. But because we dig our trenches so wide and we put 2 pipes in it, the sediment spreads across a greater area. The sediment you get in a single pipe trench is the same amount of sediment that you're going to get in a double pipe trench, because it's based on the wall of the trench. It's not based on how wide the trench is. So all the sediment's coming through the sidewall. That's where it's coming from. Yeah, you can argue a little bit of it's coming maybe up from the bottom, but not much. That's not going to make a difference. Now, if you have deep pockets and you can line your trench with this copper fabric, now you don't have to worry about tree roots. So guess what? You can afford it. Go with the Cadillac. There you go. The Mercedes-Benz, man. But that's basically the stone under the pipe versus no stone under the pipe for yard drains. That's how we got to just putting the pipe on the fabric. We're trying to beat the tree roots. That's what we're trying to beat. We want to keep this dried up. We don't want any water hanging around. That way when the drought season comes, the trees don't have any water to sniff out. They don't fill the French drain with roots. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. If you have any questions regarding this installation, leave them in the comments section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.